noisy here because this is the metro station here at Chamartín, and this metro station is right next to the main train station on the northern edge of Madrid. There's two main train stations for trains taking a longer distance, but just look at the size of this place. And this is where I came in and out of a couple times already. But coming into Madrid from Santiago. So I just want you to experience this with me. This is just the metro here. When we get up here, there's an actual commuter rail, of all things, train station. And then you got to go up even higher to hit the normal train station. Like I said, look how large this complex is. I can remember coming through here back in 2015, both directions, doing my Camino from Leon to Santiago. And then over there, I don't know if you can see it or not, is a bunch of old metro cars. So that's actually the Metropolitan Metro Train Museum, which I thought was a kind of cool thing. So they actually planned ahead of it. So like right now, this is where we're exiting the metro. Let me just walk over here and take a quick peek at the train museum, or the metro museum, which I may stop by and take a look at it on the way home this evening, but no guarantees. I don't think I gotta come all the way out here because the train trip, the actual trip to get here from where I'm staying, it's about a half an hour. So let's take a quick peek here. Yeah, see, this is kind of cool. So right here at the main train station, or one of the main train stations here in Madrid, is the Metropolitan or Metro Subway Museum, which I think is kind of cool to show you what it used to look like at one time. And some of these may be streetcars as well, but you can see the thing that pops up, it hits the overhead third rail. So, but I'm off to my new adventure for today, and we'll see how that goes. Let the adventure begin. Yes, I rented a car, and the strange part, here's this. There's cheaper rental places, but they ask for like an $1,800 deposit, a $2,000 deposit. And I had to pay more money for a rental car that didn't have that. So basically I had like a $200 deposit, plus I bought the cheap $8 insurance with a $200 deductible. So I'm like, this is perfect. So let's get this trip on the way. But before I leave, make sure the mirrors are dialed in, seats dialed in, everything's dialed in. So let's get going. I've arrived. I purposely came all the way here just to visit this site. And so this is really a quick once over, really. It's like really like a 15-minute stop just to enjoy this aqueduct that apparently supplied water to the castle up there. So I have to make a decision. Do I leave the parking garage here and then go up there to the castle directly, or do I, by walking, or do I drive up to the castle? So I gotta check Google Maps. Talk to you later, but just check that out. Isn't it incredible? This aqueduct going across the valley. I think it brings water to the castle. That's what something said online. So catch you guys later. Okay, I've walked up this far from the aqueduct down below up to this part of the town to the cathedral here, which hopefully I can get in and take a look around and cool off before I head up to the citadel. So let's get this going. I'm here in the chapter house of the cathedral, and I haven't taken much video because I'm in the cathedral proper. I don't feel it's proper, but up here in the chapter house, as you can see the staircase up here in this room, I think it's a chapter house. You have these lovely tapestries and also some liturgical vestments. Obviously these are the red liturgical vestments right here. But then they have an exhibit of tapestries in which they show the sun, the moon, and the planet series. So that's Mercury, Jupiter, Mars, and who else is this? This is Venus. But the interesting thing they mentioned over there in the little cue card was they kept secret the recipes to dye the fabric to make these tapestries, which is very, very involved for the cue card, because you're basically exposing a set of threads to make the given color. My little additional commentary is, since you're using natural dyes in this process of, plant and animal based, they oxidize and they age. So even though we're enjoying this tapestry in terms of the art form, the true color of this is not this. It had to be much more vibrant or brilliant. Maybe even here on this tapestry on the edge, you can see the blue is very pronounced and some of the whites, but everything else is kind of bleached out because being an animal or vegetable-based dye, it oxidizes and it basically deteriorates and the color fades over time. So I'm assuming these will be much more colorful and pronounced when they were first made. I'm here in the choir stalls at the center of the church, and this is a typical setup right here. You have the choir, it kind of separates the faithful from the celebration of the Mass. But this is where the canon, or the people who are at the monastery, at the cathedral, would chant or speak or pray the hours. Look how beautiful the cathedral is. So I'm going to take a step back here. There's the dome, and there's the exquisite medieval Gothic construction over to our right, to our left. But there's a lot of high walls, and that's reflective of the fact that this is still in contentious lands with the Moors to the south. So my personal belief is a lot of times there's not a lot of glass or artwork closer down, because if you're getting attacked, you don't want any large openings for the invaders that come into the church. But that's the high altar. Isn't that beautiful? The entrance is over there. There's more chapels behind there. Let me just take a quick tour over here. Once again, that's the entrance over there and the exit. And both sides are pretty much the same. Isn't that beautiful? Just the amount of stonework and the craftsmanship. It's just amazing. I'm on my way to the Citadel, that direction, but I came across this building, and so I'm going to pop into it right now. And here we go. And I think this is more of a Moorish design and space. But look how beautiful this is. The interior space, the courtyard, the well, the loggia up here, closed off. But look at the details in the wall and the timbers. Granted, how much of this is a recreation, I'm not sure, but you know, you gotta take it when you get it. You know, this is just lovely. I mean, I can imagine just how hot it can get here in Spain. And having this as a place of respite, but also this door coming in and out. I mean, I'm assuming you could ride your horse in here and somebody could take the horse over to the stable, I guess, but just being down here. And maybe this is not a well, maybe this is actually a cistern where all the water kind of drains into, and they keep it clean, meaning they don't allow animals to come in here. Maybe like in Venice, that water goes down through maybe a sand filter, and this basically allows it to come up from the bottom. So just a thought. Coming back outside here, it's all closed, and you can hear the car coming down the street, but give you a flavor of what I'm experiencing. And the cathedral's just back up around the corner there, so let's continue the walk. Well, I've arrived at Alcázar, the entrance right here off the city, and I can imagine there's probably more the city walls. You can see somewhat over there, but this is the fortress, and it is impressive. Look at this. And look at how it's built out over here, where there's just sheer drop-offs everywhere. And you can see the sides of the cliffs or the walls there. And over there. Now granted, with artillery up there on the far side, it's kind of a pointless fortress, or even over there, but like in medieval times with primitive or even more advanced siege weaponry, this would be a hard place to attack, because this is the only open space right here, which I'm assuming there was some sort of walls. Kind of come back this way. Lovely little plaza here, but look at that. Look at that. So I need to find out if it's over there or get tickets, or over there to get tickets. But I'm here mainly to see the aqueduct, but also to see the palace here. So let's find out the details and get this tour started. So I'm continuing my tour. On the other side, the courtyard here is like an artillery museum for the Spanish. But this is a part of the original palace that was built here. And I mentioned in the audio guide that since they pushed the palace walls or the tower walls or the dimensions of the building here outwards, this is why you get this kind of weird window seat here and another window over there. But there's various suits of armor, but they said these suits of armor were not for battle but for jousting. But just looking at the size of these guys, I tower over them. I mean, if I had a full suit of armor, I'd be scary towards them, I guess. But then coming through here, they said there was a fire in the 1800s, I guess. It burnt most of the stuff up, and so this is all reconstructions or artifacts from other places. And coming around the corner here, this is the throne room right here, and apparently parts of this survived the fire, but the roof here is, I think, was brought in per the audio guide, because they replicated a lot of the roofs in other palaces, so they were economizing on stuff. And this is the next room of the tour, but you can see the original palace walls. and then they pushed it out here. But then one thing I want to show you right now is this little feature right here. So this is typical of this town. This is actually a piece of iron slag, and they would embed it into the mortar between the rocks to give these little black highlights, which I thought that was a really neat touch. So I'm here at the Hall of the Kings, and so it has all the various kings and queens of Spain over a certain time period for a certain part of the Spanish kingdom that it is from. But all this is a recreation because, like I said, the castle caught fire, but apparently somebody made detailed drawings of all the rooms, so they were able to recreate a lot of this stuff. And then a lot of these like ceilings came from other buildings potentially, or modeled after other buildings' interiors, because they repeated the same motifs or the same dimensions. But here's the other thing I want to show you. This is looking out the window, and you can see where this castle fortress is built on this peninsula of land, where two rivers pass or join to it, one behind me on the other side, making it really hard to come in and attack it, except from the city side where there's a moat they dug out. But you can see how dry it is, and you can see where they have a swimming pool. They have a swimming pool. Looks like there was a swimming pool down there. It's empty right now, but just tells you how warm it gets here. And then there's a little stream or river that kind of comes through here too as well. So let's go ahead and continue the tour. Okay, I'm here at the Well Courtyard, and this is not on the tour, I guess, or maybe it comes up on it, who knows, but this is pretty impressive here. I mean, I'll hold on to my hat, but once again, you can see where this one river comes through here and joins up with this other river comes through there. So, and you can see where just over time this is kind of cut down. You have this solid piece of land here above everything else, where this makes a perfect area for a fortress. And I'm kind of curious at how, if you can see down the well here. Don't want to lose the GoPro, but not too deep. I can feel the cool air coming out of here. So obviously this goes down quite a bit through the rock, probably down below the water level of the two streams here, so that way they have a constant source of water. And this is one of the towers here, but this leads into, I think, the Hall of Arms. But I'm going to double back to see if I can find this other courtyard I'm supposed to visit first on the guide. Okay, doing the tower tour, and you can see the original keep was there, and they built this one later on. And this gives you an idea of how far up we are. And quick video here, 6 people coming up. The last third or quarter is a staircase like that, but the rest of it was a circular staircase that went up and up and up, and there was a landing below at the first chamber, and there's another chamber between this one and the one we stopped at. But look how high we are above everything. And then once again, why this place, the Alcázar, never was conquered is because of how high it is. That's a city up there, and there was, according to history, a small church or basilica right here, but then that was leveled after an uprising, and they just cleared it out. And that building over there is the artillery school chemistry lab or chemistry setup, or they basically were experimenting with propellants and different fundamentals of the explosives needed for artillery. Of course, you want to set that up outside of the main artillery school here at the castle. But look at just look at the view. And that's the cathedral I visited earlier. And the aqueduct apparently is further up this valley, further over there, that direction. But this is just fascinating. This is wonderful. So I'm going to enjoy this moment, and then I'm going to have somebody take my picture. Let's do this. So coming in from outside, this is the staircase down. And we'll stop right here. So there was another landing up there between these two floors. Just to give you an idea what we can see here looking out. And over here, apparently this was a jail at one time, holding high profile or high officials, last used in the 1930s. So if you were a noble or an officer of some sort, this is where you were kept for whatever reason. And you can imagine there's no escape, because you can't escape up because you're at the top of the tower. You can't escape down because there's only one entrance and exit. So yep, there's that. And here's where I will push stop, because there's more circular staircase that goes down to another landing and some bigger rooms, and then out to the terrace. So I just came down from the tower way up there, come down. I think they opened up a different chamber on the way down for us to take a look versus on the way up. But if there's a guard that's going with us, he may be unlocking doors as he goes. But the tower tour allows us to come out to this terrace, which is a different terrace than I was talking about in my video a moment ago. So you can see where we came in originally, and there was a drawbridge of sorts over this whole thing. Yeah, the drawbridge is right here. They just built an arch bridge now, but you can see how they cut all this away. And during a siege, you couldn't come up through there. You couldn't come up through there. You came from the town here, but then all this flat place here, and how do you get across this gorge? I mean, you can't really fill it in, and if you try to fill it in to bring you to this part of the castle, I mean, how's that going to work? You know, they're going to be shooting at you. So this is definitely really, really, really neat. So I'm going to get somebody to get my photograph, and let's get done today. Hopefully, this is the quote-unquote castle's foundations. So this right here below my feet is the parent rock, I guess. And there's more things kind of poking down there, but they said there's some a series of ashlar stones that are laid down. So they're not sure when this first got inhabited as a fortification, either pre-Roman or Roman times. But you can see successive layers of archaeology, and apparently they dug out all the dirt and this rubbish out of this place, and they found this in the like 5 or 10 years ago. So this is probably the last video here at Alcázar, and I'll talk to you folks later. Okay, I'm here once again at the foundations of the castle here proper, and these first course of stones are ashlar, most likely laid down by the Romans per the audio guide. But this is what I want to show you right here. This is the escape chute or escape pit. So the idea is if you had to send somebody outside for relief, or you had to send somebody outside, this is the way you would send them. But you notice, see how steep it is coming up this way? So there is no physical human way attackers could come up this direction, even if they discovered the entrance or exit, which I'm assuming was probably camouflaged on the outside of the castle. So this is kind of a cool thing, because I passed by it and you can kind of feel some cool air coming up from it. But a little better shot here before I sign off. That is a really, 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 really neat feature. Well, this wraps up my visits to Segovia. But let me show you. A good chunk of the old town is up there on the wall, and it's surrounded because it's basically on this outcropping of rock where there's two different rivers that flow together here and here. And this is the famous Roman aqueduct, which they maintained through medieval into, I guess, modern times, and extends all the way to the mountains further to the south, I believe. What's incredible though, the aqueduct was still being used and actually provided water to the town, and since it's higher than where the fortress is, the Alcázar further down, it would actually take water to Alcázar as well. So this is really, 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 really neat. And all the swallows flying around, they're making little mud nests, I'm assuming up in the eaves or up underneath the arches. So this is pretty darn impressive, because the aqueduct, you see how high it is there, but it has to span this valley to get up to there. And my car is parked actually underneath the street here. So actually underneath this street that's coming down, there's actually a 3-story parking garage. So it's time for John to get back on the road shortly. My first goal is to find a charging station for the electric car and get something to eat and drink. And then after that, back to Madrid.